Hi, my name is Nic, and I am an imposter. I was born an atheist who became head prefect of a 70-year-old Catholic school. Studied journalism, and I wanted to be a war correspondent, but I failed dismally at that. I went on to build an internet company and sell it. I now travel around Africa talking about mobile. I've failed significantly more than I've succeeded, and have never felt good at life or truly competent at anything I've ever done. I mostly blame my extremely supportive Greek mother for my unbridled sense of confidence and my ability to stare into the face of failure and keep trying. From as young as I can remember, she's been telling me how fantastic, amazing, and brilliant I was, am, and will be. She did all of this while shoving Greek lamb into my face and telling me to eat. Eat, she told me. She loved me unconditionally. She instilled a sense of belief in me that would remain unparalleled in my life. But she did all of this without really knowing who I was or was going to become. Good was never enough for me because of my mother. She always wanted me to be the most famous, the most successful, and the most wealthy. Good should never be enough for anybody. Imagine if Edison gave up on the 999th light bulb. I was in matric when I really started to figure out that most of the amazing people I knew had no idea what they were doing and were learning as they went along. My headmaster at the time, Mr. Edie, was explaining his career path to me, and in so doing, introduced me to the Peter Principle for the first time. Now, the Peter Principle states that members of an organization where promotion is based on skill and merit will eventually be promoted beyond their level of ability. Think about that. They're going to be promoted beyond their level of ability. Now, what does that mean for you? Well, probably that your boss is an idiot, completely incompetent, and content with being average. Now, I remember my father going to work every day. I don't really remember him enjoying his job. I don't remember the passion that you're supposed to feel when you're doing your life's work. It was always just a job for him. And being the pretentious little shit that I was, I would often tell him this. I would say, Dad, I want to go to university and study something I love, something that moves me, because I don't want to be like you, Dad. Now, I'm sure this used to kill my father, and I can see now how terrible it sounds, but it was true. I wanted to be moved to greatness and challenged constantly. I didn't want to be in a repetitive job. In fact, I didn't want to have a job at all. I wanted to be incompetent forever. So dead set on being incompetent forever, I packed my bags and I went to Rhodes University. I fled my hometown, wet behind the ears, innocent and responsible, off the back of my Catholic school upbringing. I did what any self-respecting 18-year-old would do. I started smoking, I experimented with mind-altering drugs, I joined a band, and I threw my lectures out the window. Sorry, Dad. So after 3 years, my band did okay. I was an average guitarist. I played with some amazing musicians. We headlined some gigs, but ultimately, we just didn't make it. Now, as much as I was in an amazing band, you know what else I was? I was a bad marketer. I was a terrible advertiser, and I was an even worse businessman. And dream as I might, bands are business, and I didn't know that at the time. So, no matter how many drinks I had on or off the stage, no matter how long my hair was, and I had long hair back then, and no matter how hard I lived that rock star lifestyle, we were incompetent. And we even lacked the vision to see that and get better. So we sucked. But you know what? It didn't matter because I loved every moment of it. And I can still remember the smell of sweat, the alcohol, the cigarettes, and the crowd at my first gig. And that was that for that. Now, I'm sure that the amazing entrepreneur, Elon Musk, has never felt trapped by a job in his life. He has set himself a lofty task, having sold PayPal for billions of dollars. Elon Musk wants to die on Mars. That's right. He actually wants to die on Mars. Now, initially, I thought that this was absolutely amazing. But now I'm not convinced that this is the best thing for humanity. And here's why. There are still many industries left for a man like Musk to go on and change, challenge, and alter. There are still many more experts for him to go and become incompetent among. Now, maybe I'm being selfish for humanity, but I'm willing to make that sacrifice if he is. Who knows? Maybe he's got his own Greek mother that he hides in a cupboard and he brings her out whenever he's about to give up to whip him into shape. Now let's come back down to earth. Michael Jordan is commonly regarded to be the best basketball player in history, and that's not a small feat. After 9 years, he reached the level of mastery that he believed was sufficient, so he retired. But he wasn't done. He went on to join the minor leagues in baseball, where he wasn't an expert and he had no real skill. Now, in spite of him trying really, really hard, he failed pretty dismally at changing the sport of baseball like he did basketball. But it didn't matter, because he got uncomfortable and tried something that he had never done before, which is more than most of us can say. Coming even closer to home now, in 1990, a man with a master's in economics and a PhD in banking management kicked off his career as the captain of a ship in the SA Navy. And I think I was one of the few people who celebrated when he resigned his position at F&B, because a man with his level of skill and experience needs to go on and change another industry when he chooses it. Michael Jordan has changed the face of banking in South Africa, but he needs to go on and do something different and get uncomfortable and incompetent again. Back in 1966, Captain Kirk famously said that he boldly wanted to go where no man had gone before. That statement could not be more relevant today, where we have a world filled with people content with being average, comfortable in the same industry being experts and no longer making a difference in the world. Incompetence should always be the final frontier, that place that you want to explore after decades in a single field. I can assure you that incompetence is an infinity that you will never find the end of. Think of it like this. Wherever you exist as a master, you simultaneously exist as a complete and incompetent failure somewhere else. You, sitting in the audience, you may be a quantum physicist, but know nothing about magic. You may be a mathematician, but have no clue about rock and roll or how to start a garden. For some among us, that is an exciting prospect. There are always new challenges, and we don't spend enough time living in a state of incompetence, taking on those challenges. If we want the world to change, we need to find the successful among us and keep them uncomfortable. We need to seek out incompetence. If we want the world to change, we need to keep those that are smart among us uncomfortable. What do you want them to write on your gravestone? Here lies Nic. Average guitarist? No. The world is going to be influenced by the smart people among us seeking out incompetence and digging their heels in, not by the content masses. Simply being an expert is not good enough any longer. As a community, we need to find the smart and driven people and keep them uncomfortable. We need to seek out incompetence. We need to make it a habit and promote it and reward those that overcome it. Our lives and careers need to be more like a subway than a direct flight. Multiple stops with lots to see, lots to do, and lots of people on and off. Not a single route from point A to point B with closed doors and a select number of people aboard. My life has felt a little bit like Grand Central Station, with the amount of people I've met, the number of times I've screwed up, and the things I've started and ended. I've even had to give back a 250,000 Rand investment after just 2 days because I was so completely incompetent. I've hurt a lot of people, and I'm sure many more dislike me immensely. But you know what? Being incompetent will do that to a guy. I've made a career out of challenging the norms, going my own way, and doing things differently. I don't ever want to be comfortable or complacent with my life's work. I want to be uncomfortable and incompetent for as much of the time as I can. I want to one day live in a world where normal is not defined by how stable your salary is, but how hard and how far we are all willing to push to be more. I want my epitaph to read, anything but comfortable. My name is Nic. I am an imposter living at the forefront of incompetence. Join me. Thanks.